The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read. Your source for news, politics, sports, and all things trending. Here's your host, Marcus Gentry.
When you witness your partner speak about people of color and refer to them as savages, refer to them as animals, when you see they don't care, when you hear them say, hey, this is America, speak English, I have to interrupt and say, I got this. And then I speak to them in their language. I take them to a different room and I talk to them like a person because they have problems.
The fact that a person could put on a uniform and become that way, there's a lot happening behind the scenes that leads to that.
One of the only jobs where one cop does something, we all get blamed for it.
I grew up in Spanish Harlem. One day I was coming out of church and with my friends. These cops, they came up to us, plain clothes. He took his gun, kept it drawn, and went to my friend Corey's face and put it to his face and held it there. His partner was looking at him and walked away in disgust. Yeah, I promised to myself if I ever become a cop, I would never be like that cop. The cop that walked away from his partner, that didn't say anything.
Welcome to the Daily Read, and once again we have a family gathering, and we're going to do part 2 to the series that I started. It's called Family Talks and Sibling Talks. Now today I have my other family, my cousins, my auntie, my uncles, and my sister, and we're going to talk about politics, but we also want to talk about the role that black police officers play in our communities and why they haven't spoken up. Now I have videos here, short clips of 12 police officers who have stepped up and filed a lawsuit against the bigotry and the racism that they've seen. I also have a clip of a black police officer who is riding on the side of the police officers against Black Lives Matter and police and police brutality and things of that nature. So we're going to get started with the discussion. I open up that clip. I'll show that short clip, and I want to open up a discussion with my family here. And I want to get you guys' opinion. Anybody can start. What do y'all think the role of police officers play in our communities?
I think they're scared.
Elaborate on that.
I think they are the minority in this this business that they in, and they fear for their life. And they
not to piggyback off that, not only do they fear for their life, but they fear for
Their career.
They fear for their families. So because certain officers have stood up and complained, and the outcome has been them being fired, losing their careers, and there haven't been no justice towards that. So with it being a repeat of officers who's trying to stand up for justice against police brutality and don't get the public to view with them, to side with them on justice, and it just gets swept under the rug and they lose their career and their house and everything. It's a trend for blacks to stand up because they figure, dang, this better throw away my career, I gotta take care of my family and everything, but it's time to stand up, man.
Do you think I'm gonna let you get do you think that the movements of the 60s where people didn't worry about themselves personally, they worried about the nation of black people, do you think that has changed?
That has changed. That has changed drastically because everybody is worried about self instead of the nation now. See, we had vanguards back in the 60s that was ready to was ready to put their lives on the front line for us. We don't have vanguards now that's ready to go on the front line and lose their lives for us. You know, they marching and protesting, but ain't nobody really like, I'm tired of this. Let's be these vanguards of our communities and protect our people because they coming in and killing all of us, man.
Nita, what was you saying?
I was going to piggyback off of the police in their career.
Mhm.
And
Introduce yourself and what's your qualifications on talking about that also.
I don't have no real qualifications, but I do have a degree in psychology.
That's good though. That's good.
I think that the type of career that police officers are in are dependent on other people. They have to depend on their team to have their back because they're going out in the streets, and whenever there's something going on and they need backup, if they're vocalizing things that their team don't agree to, they can just show up late. And now they in a situation where they can lose their life. And that's a battle to think about, okay, do I want to live and keep my career, or do I want to step away from my career because of my true beliefs? And like you said, back in the 60s, how everybody would step up and say, okay, I'm willing to put this on the line to make a change. That's not happening. And that's hard to ask somebody to do. Some little boy probably knew a cop when he was 6 and said, you know what, this cop saved my mama and I want to be a cop when I grow up, and he finally become a cop, and now he stuck in this racism that's going on and his life dream of being a cop. And what do I do in this situation? Do I just shut up and do my job and make sure I got somebody to come for me when I call for backup, or do I step out of my career and speak up and be done with being a police officer?
You have something to say?
Of course, all the time, every day. Hey,
This is my sister,
Devonna. I want to just say this first. Yeah, I was speaking about the 60s and this and that. It was a different cause back then. It was a different fight.
What you mean by different cause?
We were standing up and fighting for something our forefathers was fighting for, which was freedom, equality, in which we still fight for it now, but it's totally different. We free to the human eye, to what we can see. Of course, it's a bigger picture. It's bigger than us. Of course, everybody knows that, right? And y'all, I wish I could just lay out my brain for a minute, you know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna step it down for you. It's many situations that we have to break. Everything that y'all talked about is great, but it's situations that you gotta break everything down. You know what I'm saying? There's times for whatever y'all thinking about or whatever cause or whatever, but back what y'all saying about the system, whatever, if we was fighting with like the Black Panthers, we was all fighting for just to use the bathroom and just to vote, it was bigger things that were, of course we all had to unite. How was we gonna win that fight without that? Okay. So now, see, and we a nation that settled. I'm not through. Mm-hmm. See, we settled. It's still people out there that's fighting like that. But see, them the people that's still going through the fight. If y'all get what I'm saying. Them Africans is people that we don't even think about right now. We eating. We going through some things, but we eating. We okay. Them people been going through this. Ongoing. Never stopped. They live like this. You hear me? So it's bigger than us. We can't sit and talk about it now. Yeah, it's going on. What we gonna do about it? You know what I'm saying? This stuff been going on, Mark. You know that. Mm-hmm. All right. So, but what else was y'all saying about the police force? All right. They got to go through the levels of command, right? And that's a family. I don't care what team you on. I don't care if you on the EMT. That's a family. It's loyal.
Now, what I want to say. No, hold on. I got to stop you there.
All right.
When your family is a bigot, racist against people that look like you, do you step up and say something? Because if something did break off in this country like a civil war, more than likely the white police officers who are bigots are going to take care of the police officers that are black first, because they got an understanding that they have our same training. They're not worried about me and you. They're going to eliminate the police officers that's black standing next to them, because they don't know if those black police officers are going to side with their people or not. So that's another concern when it comes down to things like that about this family you're talking about, this blue line.
Wait a minute. See, you kind of collaborating on that you didn't even let me finish.
Okay, well, go ahead and finish.
All right, so let me tell you this. All right, all that's fine and dandy, but you don't went elsewhere with this whole situation. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that people grow up and want to join the police force to be corrupt. See, it's their forefathers. Of course, if you grew up in a family that's prejudiced, you're going to be prejudiced. If you grew up in a town that's built on prejudice, you get away with it, you're going to be built off that. If it's something that's good, that had the help, that they grew up with the black kids next door, they understand about the love or whatever. It comes down to each individual. Nah, that ain't nothing about family. Sometimes we got to step out. Family ain't nothing. But it's just a few of us when you know, like y'all was talking about, what's going to happen and this and that. But that separates the good from the bad. Because some people don't care. They going to step out of town and let somebody know. But it's a whole team of us doing wrong. You know what I'm saying? I say it's us. Because it ain't no telling what you will need one day while you might be corrupt. Or maybe was. You know what I'm saying? You never know what point in life where you at. That's another thing. You know what I'm saying?
Now,
there's something always driving us.
That's true.
And that's
now, George. Okay. Let me stop you again.
It's bigger than
Do
us.
you think George Floyd deserved to die like that?
Of course not.
Okay. So being corrupt, that shouldn't even be an issue because they have jail sentences for that, not a death sentence. They have jail sentences for that. But it's the proper way of doing things. And let me. I want to get to a new edition.
It's bigger dogs. It's these right here. I don't give after the big. I don't give a damn who on that level. They gonna follow up after because they know what's gonna happen. It's something always driving somebody. No, nobody want to be corrupt half of the time. They weak. You talking about strong individuals. How many of us have stood up? If we ain't united, just come out. Yeah, we want to sometimes, but what's driving us?
Okay.
Something's got to be driving us.
I want to talk to a new individual. I want to talk to a new addition of our family, Bernard. It's this unc right here, and he has experience with the police force. And I want to get your take on the situation where black officers, some have stood up, and then you got some who stand on the side of law enforcement when they probably have been around white cops who call blacks those animals over there and things of that nature, but they just don't say too much, you know. And I want to get your perspective on that.
You know, it really goes in depth. You start from the academy with a group of individuals, and then you graduate from the academy to the streets, and then you ride with these people, and then you work zones, you work units with people. But what a lot of the Americans, the people out in the street that don't know, what they have to understand is this: those people you ride with, you have to depend on. It's not about whether they're right or wrong. It's you depend on them for your life. Yeah, you see a lot of racist things. You see things that you don't agree with, but you, being whether you're new or coming on, you don't want to say anything. And a lot of these police officers have to think and have to remember this: if I get into something and I get on that radio and call for help, are they gonna come? Or are they gonna come on time? If you make waves, I'm not saying all police departments, I'm not saying all police officers. Me and Sandra get into it all the time. I tell her all police officers are not racist. All police officers are not bad. But you do have those that are. If you're out there doing something and you're a vocal person, you've been speaking against them and, you know, pointing them out when they do racist things and stuff, those are the same people when you get on that radio and ask for help that you depending on coming. Now, I'm not saying they might not come, but I'm saying they might come slowly. And if you're in the middle of something where your life is on the line, you don't need them to come slowly.
So it sounds like you saying that it's up to the leadership, the mayors, the commissioners,
That's
to
exactly
root these people out.
You know, every police department throughout, the officers know who the racist ones are. They know who the people that's gonna stand on somebody's neck. That man that stood on that man's, George Floyd's neck, you know why he done that? Because he had done it before.
Right. It looked like he did.
You know,
the nonchalant way he did it.
The nonchalant hands in his pocket. He he didn't have intentions on killing that man. But he had done somebody else like that, and they lived.
Right.
That's why he felt like he could do George Floyd like that.
And it came out that they worked together
Yeah.
as security at a club.
At a club.
And I'm gonna tell you my perspective of it. It looked like revenge to me. Not the killing part. I agree with you. I don't think he meant to kill him, but when I heard the story about how they worked at a nightclub together, and I rewatched that tape, I kept hearing that white guy tell George, "Get up, George. Get up, George." And I kept hearing him say, I can't. They got me handcuffed. And from working around my brother in his club and being security, you see a lot of things. Right. And I think, and I don't know if they're investigating this, but I think that something happened between them two.
Could have.
And the white guy got done in by somebody.
You know, they said that they had two different nights. They had a white night and had a black night. And said white night he was real cool, and then on black night he would harass the black women, spray pepper spray when the black. But see, this is what my take, and it's just my take from what I've seen. That individual had done that before and didn't kill nobody. And he thought that he could do that to George Floyd, and George Floyd wouldn't die. But he did die.
Right.
What you seen from them other three officers, the
Chinese
Asian
guy, they look like they've done. They
were brother-in-laws.
Okay.
The other two, one was a rookie and one hadn't been on the force that long.
Mm-hmm.
They were following a thing of what usually happens in the police department. I'm not going to say anything because I'm trying to protect my job. If something happened, I want him to show up.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And you know, it's a different time now. The police departments are not having that, but they have to be exposed. There's police officers that's doing things like that. We see it on YouTube all the time.
Right. Right.
And they're being exposed because I remember way back when I was a police officer, they used to tell us all the time, remember, everybody has a camera.
That's right.
Everybody has a camera. It's even worse now because they got cameras everywhere.
But the nonchalant way he do it, it was almost like he didn't care.
He didn't care. He showed, and I imagine if they look into the history between those two, George Floyd and the boy, they'll find out that they had some kind of tiff.
Right. Something done transpired between them two.
Something happened between them because he was so nonchalant. I'm gonna teach you a lesson.
Right.
Is the type.
Look what we have here. I done caught you out here on the streets now.
I'm gonna teach you a lesson.
I want to say something controversial, and some of my listeners and the people that follow me on podcasts might be upset at me. I don't think the rookie should have been charged. I think they got caught up in the wave.
He got caught up.
I'm talking about the rookies.
Yeah,
now George, the guy that killed George and the Chinese guy, they were the veterans.
Yeah.
They look like they've been doing this a long time. I think them two should have got charged.
Rookie and the other guy got caught up.
They got caught up in a wave of a transition in this country.
The technique that they use is what they taught in the academy. I'm telling you from experience.
Right.
When the Asian guy, when that woman walked up to him,
you will walk through fire.
Hold on, let me finish what I'm saying.
I'm gonna give you a chance to speak on that.
When the woman walked up to the Asian officer and said, "I'm a nurse. That man looks like he's in distress. Let me help him," and he pushed her back, then that lets you know where he was at.
Right.
The two officers on the back, that's the way they teach to hold a man down.
Right.
And the rookie, he was out, a week?
Right,
maybe?
Exactly.
4 days he had come out. The man that started all that was the man that was on his neck.
Right.
The nonchalant. But they're charging them because they're saying that they should have said something to that officer. But when that officer is a senior officer,
right?
When the officer is a senior officer in that atmosphere. You have to understand
You gotta
the
listen to 'em.
atmosphere that they're in. You see what I'm saying?
That was wrong.
The atmosphere
Hell
that
yeah,
they.
should have been charged. I don't mean no harm. You get a little smart.
Okay,
Somebody should
okay. The reason why I say he shouldn't have been charged,
No.
because number one, these two
They
men.
send people to jail for that.
No,
Accomplice?
number one, these two men.
Shit.
These two men were following around.
You said a bum rush him, and man, come on. Shit, I mean, come on, man. You know.
Okay.
Playing off
Okay, I'm gonna let you get your piece out. You want to say something? I'm gonna let you get your piece out.
Come on,
But
man, you have to.
the reason why I say they shouldn't have been charged is because you got like say for instance I go into a factory and I start working and they tell me that guy right there, you follow him around everywhere you go, you do what he do, and then me and him is working on a machine. He don't lock out, tag out properly. I don't know the procedure, lock out, tag out. He's showing me what to do. The machine break down. He don't lock out, tag out properly. Some woman come along and start messing with this machine and get her hand chopped off. I shouldn't be charged with that. I'm new here. I'm following this guy. He's teaching me how to operate this machine. The machine broke down. The man didn't put the proper system in place to make sure people won't go around messing with this machine.
Different predicament.
Okay, now let's get your perspective on that then.
Now, you don't, man, it's logic.
I agree.
I mean, I'm tired of telling you about it, really. It's logic.
I think
it's
if
down to the
any
individual
person-
of what's driving you. If you know your morals and what's right from wrong, you cannot sit up there. I don't care if you got a gun, whatever. You own this man with your hand. I'm finna bum rush you, man. I'm finna do something you wrong. The consequences come later. I probably got paid for the shit. Who knows? But I'm just saying, it's something.
I get you. You saying from a moral perspective. I'm gonna get you.
That feeds everything when you go back to Black Lives Matter, anything.
I understand. You talking about from a moral perspective.
Come on.
Okay, cuz. What's up, Reggie?
So I got two different views. Like
Okay.
One, morally, of course, you have to. But I can say that I understand. Back to what they were saying back in the day. Not beyond, you join the force and you have to have someone to depend on you. Beyond that, I got a wife. I got a livelihood at home. I'm not going to jeopardize that to when I know that times are hard. We're talking about the 60s and different things. Even harder now economically, and a lot of different factors now that you have to take into effect that make you freeze, make you do anything to just us, not beyond police officers. I have to think about things that I do now. I stop because, hey, at the end of the day, there's consequences for my actions. So that one pause I can understand. I'm not saying it's morally right. I'm not saying he should have done more. I'm saying I get it. As
Because
a human being,
my thing is they was just holding his legs.
yeah.
You know, and I understand that helped cause the death, but they were trained when an officer is you guys are holding down a suspect, this is how you hold him down. And like he was saying, I don't think that the man that was usually doing this was intentionally going to kill him.
Marcus, they was concerned. If you see it, they was talking to him. They was telling him, "Come on, man, you should have did more than talked." They said something. Look at the video. They was saying, "Man, come on."
But see,
you done
what
had
you-
enough. They
what-
said something to this man.
Okay.
So you should have did more. I understood they tried, but you should
Okay.
have let this man die.
Elaborate on that. I'm gonna get you. What more should they have done?
They should have bum rushed this man. This man was sitting up there like this one.
Okay.
Yeah,
What about the people? What about the
away.
people? What about the people in the crowd?
They would have took some nice pictures.
I'm talking about should they have done something? Because there has been a lot of talk on the news about they should have stepped up and said something too. I mean, did more than just say something.
People did say something.
I'm talking about.
A whole nother bracket, bro. They go to a whole nother bracket. Them people already know they ain't shit.
This is.
Why the hell step up when this nigga anytime one of them step up? He would have pulled that one hand that was in his hip.
This is a very good discussion. Let me take a commercial break, and when we get back, let me take a commercial break, and when we get back,
His officers should have did something.
We're gonna get-
He would've, even if they would have bum rushed him and he would have rolled over, Even what you gonna do? Shoot me right here? They police. You hear me? It would have made a scene. Y'all could have did something. You know what I'm saying? More. Y'all should have been charged. Next time you know better. They took an oath to protect people. It could have not boiled down to that. That's their job. I get mad at these people at Wendy's. That's enough my food. Man, that's their job. Yeah. Black Lives Matter. The hell you mean? Shit.
The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read.
The men who followed this flag 150 years ago knew what it meant. Treason against their country. The death of the United States. America defeated the men who followed that flag. Those with honor surrendered and cast it aside forever. So why does it keep showing up today at events supporting Donald Trump? And why does he call the folks who carry it very fine people?
I think there's blame on both sides, but you also had people that were very fine people.
What does it say that they're all in for Trump? What does it say that he won't condemn a flag of hate, division, and losers? For us, it says this is a time for choosing America or Trump.
The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read.
Our lovely president. Thank God for him.
Let me start. Look at him back there.
Yeah, I have my hair.
Go ahead, man. We back with the Daily Read, and as y'all can tell, my family, we have lots of good discussions, man. We get together. These are voters right here. These are black voters, and we're discussing minorities in the police community and the blue line. And I want to open up this discussion. We're gonna continue on with this one because we didn't leave off with everybody didn't get a chance to talk about it. But I'm also want to talk about qualified immunity and defunding the police. And I'm gonna tell people, I'm gonna explain to you what that means. A lot of people think it means totally wiping out the police. That's not the case, and I'm gonna explain that later. But right now, we're going to get back to this discussion, people.
So,
all right. Go ahead, Nita.
I'm going to say that I agree with Dee Dee. I didn't know that the other guy said anything, but I feel like if those other guys would have made an effort to stop him from doing what he's doing, whether you're a rookie or not, you know that that's not how you was taught. And you get an example of working in a place, you're learning, you're training in that place. When you go to the academy, that is your training. Now you're going to get some hands-on experience. But in your training to be a police officer, they knew that wasn't how they was taught. And that is a hard place to be in, to see your captain or your whoever leads you.
He wasn't a captain.
Or
field leader.
He was a training officer.
But to see the person who's supposed to be training you doing something that you wasn't taught, for you not to say nothing. So just because you didn't say anything, you have to now pay the consequences. That's just like me going to the mall with my friends and they steal something. I didn't take nothing. I'm there, but I'm gonna have to pay the consequences.
Yeah, but see,
Saying nothing is just the same as
But let me explain. See, I understand what y'all saying, but you have to understand. You're talking about.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You have to understand. You're talking about two different worlds. Police officers live in a world where I have to depend on you.
Right, I said that.
Okay. I have to depend on you. Those two officers, the young officers, that was a training officer doing that. True enough, in their mind, they knew that wasn't correct. But for them to say something to him, or to interfere in what he's doing, and say George Floyd lived, they have to live in the police department after that.
Now they can go find another job.
That's easy for you to say because you sitting on the couch and you never been out there.
What you talking about is a code.
In general.
What you talking about is a code.
In general, find another job.
That's not the oath that they each individually take. They didn't all stand up there when they went through their academy training together. They each came out of that training with something. And if my brother doing wrong for the community or whatever, I'm fulfilling my oath, but I'm gonna say something. I'm protecting the people. I'm protecting the cause. You know what I'm saying? That's wrong. You talking about a code, talking about you can eat. I think if you believe in God, God will bless you with more. Exactly. You gonna sit and watch some evil doing because of a code? It makes no sense to me. But this is the type of system that we live in. You gotta have your own mind, your own body, your own soul. You gotta know who you are to stand up. And yeah, you can sit and say, I ain't against no mafia. My life has never really been threatened. And I know it comes down, like I said, it's a cause. I see why people do stuff, but we gotta break it down.
So this
everything's broke down logically.
That goes back to what I was saying. What Bernard was saying. When I first said, you know, you got to depend on people, this and that. So now that rookie had that tough conversation in his mind that I was saying, do I continue and ignore what's going on so I can keep my job and so I can be safe, or do I end my career and say I need to say something because this is wrong? That's what I was saying.
That sounds like a hard. That's
a hard decision to make,
right?
Especially within 8 minutes and 46
seconds. Yeah.
To think about, am I going to end my career and change my mind and say something to this man, or am I going to keep my job?
See the heart and minds of a person right now when someone. But see, that's what breaks us down. I'm not judging anyone. But I would hate to be on that ledge.
Auntie, what you got to say?
And being a y'all behind me, I might get
what
pushed
I have
off.
to say is,
You know, more than no. That's crazy.
All 4 of those officers experienced racism, and they're experiencing doing it to someone that they feel have to listen to them. We have to listen to police officers. Our president, that wonderful man, thank God for him, he opened the door so we can see now. The people that's over us, that runs our country, they have kept things silent and covered up. And so now the police officers, they see themselves in the mirror. I'm inferior to those who's darker than us. And so we can do whatever we want to do to them dark-skinned people. And now when we get this president, thank God for him, he said, no, you don't have to hide. Don't hide nothing. Let them know how you feel. Even if you video, I got your back. I get the army on the ass. Show it all. We do not care.
So you saying basically that he is telling everybody just come on out with it.
Come on out, and thank God that they coming out, because what he didn't understand when he said that, oh, your neighbor child just had a baby by a black man. You finna kill your neighbor's child? If you notice all the protesting, it was a lot of whites out there.
That's right.
And those whites that was out there, 9 out of 10, they got somebody black in their family. That's their family.
Or done work with blacks for 20, 30 years.
Yeah, why would you hurt those people that you are part of now? They are part of us.
I want to say
that's the difference between the six.
I want to say there's a white movement that has never quit going on in this nation, and it's huge.
And I talked about that.
And they do hide.
I talked about that.
Because they breaking all type of laws and they know it.
I wanna.
But they are allowing it because they running the country. And nobody paying attention.
We're gonna talk about.
I think it's going on.
We're gonna talk about qualified immunity, and
the fact that qualified immunity has been going on for a while. This is the reason why a lot of people don't get justice when a cop kills, like the little kid that got murdered by a cop, and he had a little gun. Cops are walking because they have what you call qualified immunity. By them being protectors of the community and by them working for the government and law enforcement, they have a shield around them to the point where you have to charge the department that they work for. You don't charge the individual. And a lot of these people are getting kicked off the force and going to a whole nother county and getting hired back with another police force, and they don't have a database that keeps a hold of all of these people's records that's bouncing around from law enforcement agency to law enforcement agency. So we're going to get into qualified immunity and what my family thinks about that. Open up that discussion. Okay. No, come on back here. I'm finna explain it to you again. Go ahead, Bernard. I know you got a feeling about qualified immunity.
You need to give a definition of what qualified immunity is.
Okay.
What's the definition of qualified immunity?
I
want you to give
well, I'm gonna have to get into the dictionary with all that. But when I looked up qualified immunity, it was basically saying how the individual police in uniform cannot be charged. Just like you can't charge a federal official for something, you have to charge their department or you have to charge the government. And I think that's a lot of the reason why a lot of these officers are acting the way they're doing, because they have this blanket of immunity over them that if they get caught up in something where they done killed somebody, like kneeling on them, and a judge grants them qualified immunity because they was in the act of doing their job, all they got to do, they might even get fired, and they might have a lawsuit put on them through civil lawsuit from the government, but they can still bounce around and go to another department. So, like I said, I want to open up.
It's what I've seen is kind of strange to me. I can explain this part of what I was trained. I was trained that every bullet I fired, I had to justify.
Okay.
If I fired 5 rounds, 3 could be in policy and 2 could be out of policy.
Okay.
What I'm seeing now is kind of unreal to me. I remember not long ago I read where 3 officers fired over 40 rounds at one man. That's not the police department that I came up in. You had to justify, and trust me, man, they was on you about how many rounds you fired. Why did you fire this round? Why did you do that? You had to justify. I don't see that now.
So you think it's things are slacked up?
It's just been. I can't speak for every police department in the country because I don't have any knowledge of their training.
Right.
But I've never seen the type of shootings that's happened. People shooting, not seeing a firearm, and then the person didn't have a firearm.
And getting off.
You know, and getting off, walking.
Right.
I know when we were trained, you had to justify shooting a person. And justification had to be, you had to see a weapon, not think he had a weapon.
Right.
You had to see it.
Right.
You know,
the standards done went down. Let me read qualified immunity. Let me read qualified immunity. In the United States, the doctrine of qualified immunity grants government officials performing discretionary functions immunity from the civil lawsuits unless the plaintiff shows that the official violated clearly established statutory constitutional rights of which a reasonable person would have known. So, saying that, I'm gonna go back to the last incident about the 2 guys that was leaning at the back of George Floyd. I think they're going to be able to get qualified immunity from what I just read, because they was in the performance of a duty
That they were trained to do.
That they was trained to do. Now, I don't think they're going to give the guy that was actually leaning on his neck and the Chinese guy. I don't think they're going to give them two qualified immunity.
In any police training and all that, where they train you to stand on a person's neck like he did. Never. They had a guy on CNN that said that, and he was some specialist for the United States as far as police tactics, and he said no department in the country trains people to subdue somebody by putting your knee on their neck, because that's you can damage them. So
Some's got to be going on from when you came through than what they training now. And the reason why I say that, I'm gonna let y'all two speak out there. Say this. The reason why I say that is because they had a woman who was pregnant. He had his knee on her neck and he was shocking her in her stomach. This just recently happened. So it's obviously, and they from a whole different state.
How do you justify that?
Right.
How do you as the chief of police or the training instructor of that police department, how do you justify using those tactics on a woman or anybody?
So I think it's all tied together. It comes back from what my mom was saying about the president allowing people to or showing his racism and basically saying, you guys show your racism, and then it's trickling down to all of those offices and all of those captains and sergeants or whoever, for them to allow that immunity to people who really don't deserve it.
Right.
And because they're allowing them to continuously do this, now you're seeing people shooting one guy 40 times and don't see a weapon because he know that he can get off.
He can get away. Right. Now, let me say this. And this is something that I'm quite sure that they are investigating and looking into. The officer in the George Floyd case, probably, if they look in his history, had done people the way he done George Floyd before.
He had 19 things against him.
Right.
But the people before had never died.
Right.
He was too comfortable for me to believe that he had never done that before.
Right.
And nobody had never said nothing to him. And George Floyd died, which brought it to the front.
Right.
I guarantee you he had done that before and got away with it.
So to answer your question, I think there's two things that's led to, the police being the way they are. One is training.
Okay.
I think I don't know this for sure because I'm not an officer, I've never been through a police academy before.
I worked at the police
But
academy.
I can probably almost guarantee you it's just about the same training as what Bernard went through.
Okay.
So outdated training. Two is the officers these days, there's whenever you're an officer, there's two things you're supposed to do: protect and serve. Officers are serving more than they're protecting. It's no more of trying to make sure this person's all right, trying to make sure this person is safe so they don't hurt others. They're worried about arresting this person to the point to where it'll be any means necessary.
Right.
Right. I think that's what's, if they go back to the original thing to protecting and serving, I think the violence, the police brutality, I think a lot of those things stem from them just trying to be the judge, the juror, and the Undertaker these days.
Let me back up. Hold on, little brother. Let me tell you something else too. In the police department at the academy, they teach you steps of force. If a man balls his fist up, you have the right to use your baton. Whatever level of force that the individual use, you have the right, they train you this, to use the next step up. Tasers, pepper spray, tasers, and unfortunately the last thing, deadly force.
Right.
What I see now is they skip all those things and go straight to deadly force.
Right.
I seen a film where this guy was he didn't have no weapons, but he was very belligerent, fighting them and everything, and the officer went straight from zero to pulling his weapon. He didn't use pepper spray, he didn't use his baton, he didn't use a taser.
Did he talk?
He talked the whole time. But what I'm saying is there's steps of force that they train you to use. But a lot of these officers, whether they're scared, I'm not saying, I'm just telling you, whether they're scared or whatever, they jump straight from zero to a deadly weapon. If you pull that weapon, you're going to end up using it.
Right.
I think that they train you in the academy to use those steps. But I think a lot of officers don't use those steps. Not all officers, but a lot of officers don't use the steps that they were trained to do. Man ball his fist up, you pull your nightstick. If he goes beyond that, you pepper spray. If he goes beyond that, you use your taser. Deadly force is supposed to be the last resort, and I think a lot of officers go straight to deadly force.
You have something to say?
My first job here in Nashville, Tennessee, was at the police academy. And I had the opportunity to watch, what year was that? 2008. I had the opportunity to watch whatever police officers that joined that police academy in 2000. I had the opportunity to watch those guys go into training and get released to the streets. And it was only 6 months. And within them 6 months, I was cleaning they dorms and everything, and it wasn't guys in there trying to be loyal, abiding citizens that's gonna, you know what I'm saying, serve and protect. We had a bunch of racist guys up in there that was doing drugs, smoking, drinking, because every time I went in there and cleaned their stuff up, that's all I found was paraphernalia. I'm like, this is the police station.
Right, beer bottles and all kinds of stuff.
Cocaine, weed, all of that. They was giving it to us on their graduation day. And these is the guys that was going into the streets to serve and protect us. This is my first job in Nashville, Tennessee. I had the opportunity to see it. And what got me away from there was I was the supervisor of the job. And I was hiring convicted felons, trying to give them opportunities to get back into the streets, because these guys was in the halfway house, and if they didn't have a job, they had to go back. These guys was robbing the police station because they seen how crooked they was, so they was like, they know better than us. And that's what canceled my contract out. But we need more months of training, first off, for these police officers. 6 months ain't enough. My barber school was 12 months to get my license. You know what I'm saying? You got to know what chemicals to use so you won't damage nobody's head and all that stuff. These police officers only getting 6 months of training and going out here to serve and protect people's lives with big guns. Come on, man. Like, that ain't enough time for these guys to learn how to deal with pressure.
Right, and it's leading into my next topic after this last commercial break. But what you saying is going to lead into that defunding the police. The Republicans are using that as a bad word, as saying that we're going to take cops off the streets when they saying dismantle, defunding. But New Jersey dismantled the police department, but they have the police department. What they did was they retired a lot of these people, bought out their contracts, paid them off, sent them home, go get a job somewhere else, and then they restructured. That's all that means. It doesn't mean that you won't have no police. See, and that's what we went back to the first thing we were saying about how the mayors, the commissioners, the city council, it's up to them to get these people out of here.
Yes, it is.
Because they have a job to do, but at the same time, I had a video about a St. Louis police chief, black woman. The man asked her, do you have Klansmen and stuff like that? She said, yeah. He said, ma'am, you just said that so easily. She was like, well, it's the truth. I think that's another thing. A lot of these, if you notice, a lot of white supremacists have left off the scene. I think they're popping up in our police departments around the country, and they're getting armed with military grade armaments, ATVs, military trucks. So when they saying this, dismantle and take some funding away, they're talking about all this military hardware you giving these people.
Yeah.
When some of these people might not have our best intentions in mind.
Right. Because if you're about to, if it's a situation where you have to have some armor coming in, you need to call the army. Because the army is taught to come in and clean it up.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, but you can't. Okay, I understand what you're saying, but you can't use a sledgehammer to kill a bug. You're using the military to come in, and the military is completely trained differently than the police department.
And that's why I say they don't need that stuff in the first place.
Let me tell you this. You do need to have these officers trained differently than they've been being trained, but you also have to have a safe zone for police officers. And let me explain when I say that. If I know you're doing something, whether it be racist or I know that you mistreating people, homeless people, whatever, I should feel comfortable enough to be able to go talk to somebody and get something done. Instead of going and I'm scared to say something because I think if the other officers find out that I've said something, I'm gonna get ostracized.
Right.
You understand what
So
I'm
you're saying there should be another department?
It should be something where if I know this man is mistreating somebody when he goes on calls, I should be able to go to somebody and tell them and explain to them, and it shouldn't come back to hurt my career.
Right.
That's what's a lot of stuff is happening. That's the reason why them two men that was holding George Floyd's legs. See, it's easy for us to stand out and say what somebody should have done, but we're not in that. We're not in that circle, so we don't know what the repercussion of me saying he did something that he shouldn't have done. You know, like I said before, when you're out there and you need some help and you call for it, they coming, but you need them to come as fast as they can.
Right.
But if they put a tag on you and decide, okay, we're not gonna come as quick as we should. See, it's a lot of things that people don't know in the inner circle. These officers are trained to de-escalate situation, not escalate. And what I see a lot of them doing is escalating the situation.
Right.
Whether they taking a nice stick beating the shit out of people, or, you know, they need a place where they can go and say, look, man, so-and-so is doing this out on the street, but I don't want this to end my career by telling you.
Typically, those things are taken to HR, but it needs to be somebody that's outside of the police department.
Right.
It's the IA's internal affairs.
No, that's still inside the police department.
It's still inside. It needs to be.
They're trying to get a database. They're trying to get a government database.
No stuff saying
confidential to go and say those things.
Because our IA is gonna come in, and IA is gonna say, man, I got a report on you.
Are you doing this?
And then the officer's gonna say, well, you know, by regulations, you gotta tell me who's reporting on me. Well, Anita Wells said that you did this. What you think's gonna happen now?
Right.
They better not mess with Anita Wells.
Well, I just used your
I
wife.
want to say something.
Go ahead, Auntie.
The George
Floyd.
situation. When I first saw the video, they took him out the car and they went and took him and sit him down on a bench.
Handcuffed. Right.
How?
And he wasn't belligerent.
No, he everything that they asked him to do, he
did it.
How and where did he get to be on the ground?
Well, see,
and
that's
why did they need all of this?
That's the thing. See, when they now I'm just because I seen the same thing he did. When they took him out the car, put handcuffs on him and sit him on the bench, then it's a break in the tape. The next thing we see is dudes on his neck and two officers are holding his hips and his leg. We don't know what transpired between there. But no matter what transpired.
I think they already had him inside the car at one time.
And
they already
pulled
had
him out.
Right.
Well, actually, what they was trying to do, from what I understand, was hobble him. It's a technique. They put leg irons on him, handcuff him, hog tie. Why? I have no idea, because that part didn't seem.
Mm-hmm.
But for him to be laying on the ground and he wasn't, we don't know what transpired for him to be on the ground. But it doesn't matter what transpired. The technique that officer did, kneeing him on his neck, is not trained anywhere in the United States. They had a specialist that said they don't train officers to do that because they know that can cause neck damage or death.
Right.
For that man to be as comfortable as he was on that man's neck, he had done that before, and the people didn't die.
That's right. We're finna get into this next commercial break, and when we get back, we're gonna talk about the other side of this. And the other side of this is officers that are down with it.
The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read.
The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read.
All right, people, we're back with the Daily Read, and I am your host, Marcus Gentry. Now, we're going to end this, we're going to do it the last segment. We're going to talk about the other side of this, about police officers who are in the minority community, but it seems that they are down with the whole police brutality against other blacks. These are the black men I call the black rebel flag wearers and people of that nature, that half of them I don't even think understand that their rebel flag stands for white supremacy. It's always been that way. The vice president of the Confederacy, he said in a famous quote that blacks and minorities that are in slavery should never be free because they are superior than us. And that's what that rebel flag stands for. And a lot of people don't understand that we are in a situation where there are a lot of minorities that are down with the whole white supremacy thing, partly because of they benefit off of this culture. Their family is good off of this culture. So we're going to have this last discussion about minorities. I'm going to play a short clip of a black police officer who talked about people in Black Lives Matter movement who wanted to challenge him. He wanted to fight him in a one-on-one boxing match. And then when one of George Floyd's, when one of Mayweather's boxers that he's training said, okay, let's step in the ring, then he backed down. So we're gonna get into this discussion.
What's up, TikTok? So I just watched another video of some clown with a camera running his mouth to an officer. I think it was in New York, and calling him a bitch and a punk, and take that badge and gun off and let's fight. So here's my question. A lot of you clowns like to do that. Y'all really think we hide behind our badges and guns, and a lot of us obviously we can't fight. That's what y'all think, right? Okay, so how about if we come up with a system that the officer signs a waiver, you sign a waiver and put your camera down, we put our badge and gun down, and let's step in the ring.
Getting very mad at protesters.
Let's see how many of you would actually sign up, since y'all, you feel like we're a punk behind our badges and guns. I'll sign a waiver. How many of you gonna step in the ring with me?
And challenging them to a fight.
I'll wait.
And now, of course, because he's been called out.
So let me state in my earlier video, I did not come out and then challenge anybody.
He is straight backpedaling.
So I've been getting all kind of messages and friend requests and all that good stuff. Guys, listen, it's pointless.
Wait a minute, dude is clearly moving the goalpost. This is 5'7" talk. 99% of the base came out the man's voice when the internet told him to turn his location on. So why did Officer walk back his comments? A Floyd Mayweather Promotions protege, Devin Haney, has an unblemished record at 135 pounds. If you know anything about boxing, the skills are what matters. And Haney's got...
All right, people, let's open up this discussion about these minorities that's in law enforcement who it seems like they don't get it. They don't get the systemic racism, and if they do get it, it's even worse because they know that this is going on. And I understand about how some of them are scared to lose their career. But it's some minorities out here like the Candace Owens situation. They with it, They with it because they feel like they one of the crowd, They one of the bras. But they don't realize that these white people don't like you neither, So we want to get into that discussion real quick. Go ahead, it's running.
So basically what you're talking about, I call them opportunities. The Candace Owens, there's some twins on YouTube.
You talking about?
I can't think of their names right now.
I know who you talking about. They was on. They go to every Trump rally.
Yeah, but all those people are opportunities. They're taking advantage of the moment right now. Basically, trying to make something out of nothing. Basically, trying to come up. But those people, one or two things: either they're just opportunities, they're stupid, or they really fucked up. They really just messed up to the point to where, like you said, they don't realize that it's not against the bad white supremacists don't hate bad black people. They hate all black people.
Right.
They don't hate the just the black thugs.
Yeah.
and the criminals. They don't. It ain't just them.
They don't separate.
It's all
they hate all of us.
It's every single one of them.
People of color.
And people.
And if they can use some of us to help entrap and enslave the rest of the population, they gonna do it.
They definitely.
And I think they doing it because they can until they can't. Until it's turned around on them. Like you're saying, they either slow and don't want to acknowledge that they're being used, but then once it gets to the point where they have been used to the point where they're not needed anymore, and now they get the slap in the face,
right?
Then it's like, oh crap.
Right.
Have I been doing?
Silk and Diamond, that's their name. Silk and Diamond. I call them to the Bojanglers of the step it and fetch it Donald Trump world. Them two right there, man. If you ever seen them two, it's a clown show.
Them the twins.
Right, the two black women.
Yeah. It's another black dude out of I think it's, I want to say Georgia. It's somewhere, but it's like a whole. It's like probably 10 of them.
Right.
And I think they're just seizing the moment right now. You know, I think they really just know that I can say something that all of y'all disagree with, and y'all gonna put me on blast. Y'all gonna put me on social media, pointing my points out, and my voice is just gonna be heard. I think it's a lot of that. I find it very challenging to think that there's any person of color that is illiterate enough to not think that way, to think that they're doing this because they really believe that, and if so, they are illiterate. They deserve to be called illiterate.
I've seen like walking downtown Nashville on that main strip. Right. I've seen minorities literally walking around with rebel flag T-shirts on, and I sit back and I look at these people, but the belt buckles, all of that, and I'm looking at, and that I don't really think they get it. They don't understand what
they don't understand what they think is a shirt that they. I've heard them say, "I'm from the South. This represents the South," but they don't understand the history. What built that rebel flag?
Right.
What that rebel flag? What it was used for. Right. It was used to hang black people, set black people on fire. But see, they looking at right now. Oh, I'm from the South. I'm representing the South. Man, you representing racism.
Right.
I think a lot of it is stemmed from them not having that black parent involved in their life. So I'm gonna use an example of the show All American.
Okay.
The black football player had married a white woman, and he had twins. He had a girl and a boy, and they lived in Hollywood, Los Angeles. The black football player was born in Crenshaw, and he came from the hood. But when he married this white woman, he left everything behind, even his daddy in Crenshaw. His son, who is a mixed black man now, never experienced the black world of Crenshaw. So now he took in this other boy, and this other boy lives in Crenshaw and is going back and forth, and now they friends. So he followed this other boy to Crenshaw and get pulled over by the police. And he experienced his first real racial experience. The cop didn't care who the hell he was, what kind of car he was driving, or anything.
Right.
And he couldn't understand why he got pulled over. So his daddy failed him by explaining to him, even though you living out here in this good area and you never experienced it, you are a black man, and when you cross this line, you're gonna have this stuff happen to you. Right. So those black kids that's wearing this stuff or on the internet and doing all this other craziness, I feel like they don't have a real black person in their life that taught them what it really means to be a black person, and what that flag mean, and what this mean, and what that mean, and they don't know. They're just truly ignorant, and they're not trying to learn about themselves either.
Right.
But I'm gonna say this. Nita, and I believe everything you say, but that ignorance that you speak of will cost them their life.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Yeah, we done had four black men in America from different places get hung, and the FBI is keeping it real quiet. And since I do my show, I keep a tune of what's going on around the globe. And one black woman who was pregnant in Africa got hung, and 4 black males in America done got hung over the last month.
And see, you don't see that on television.
Right, you don't.
You don't see the white media portraying that. And I think personally, this is my personal opinion, and you know, everybody, it's like buttholes, everybody got one. I believe the people in Washington, D.C. wants a race riot.
Yeah.
They're stoking the flames for a race riot. You remember
that's why they had that town hall in Oklahoma, in Tulsa.
But you remember when we first started, everybody was mad. They was burning shit, turning cars over, everything.
Right.
And then a subtle quietness came over. People started talking, no, we ain't gonna do it this way. And you know, from then on, everything has been a peaceful rally. We Washington State, Seattle, but only certain places. Everything has been peaceful.
Right. But see,
the people in Washington D.C., whenever they talk about anything, they're talking about the rioters setting things on fire, robbing and stuff.
Right.
And they're not doing that now.
Right.
They're stoking the flames for it.
I'm gonna tell you why. There's 2 things that doesn't happen. The media has done their job. The media, which is why Donald Trump don't like the media.
He hates the media.
The media has put the spotlight on the people that has been starting this stuff.
Exactly.
Most of it's been white people.
That's exactly right.
And we don't know if they actual Black Lives Matter supporters or if they've been sent in.
Right, to make it look
right.
like.
Because they had a video of a white male dressed in all black, like he was some type of military or police. He had an umbrella, and while they was marching, he walked up to an AutoZone and started knocking out the windows of it.
Right.
And a black guy walked up to him like, "Hey man, hold my stuff, man. What is you doing?" And tried to challenge him like, "Man, I'll beat you up out here." So the guy started walking off real fast out of the camera view. And he was the one who actually started off the whole riots. A white guy.
When we was watching the riots in Nashville, they had the live feed news going on.
They burned the courthouse.
Yeah, but they wasn't on that. They was just looking at all the people that was gathered around. The police was standing on top of the courthouse after they did everything. You literally see the only person that threw something on the news, a white guy.
Right.
He had bottles and was throwing them at the police.
Right.
And he didn't know that he was on the news, but you can see all these black people just standing there, and the one person that you can see that's throwing stuff and starting chaos is the one white guy.
Now, let me add to that. The 3 people that they charged for starting fires at that courthouse, all 3 of them was white.
Yeah.
Look around the country.
All 3 of them.
Look around the country. The Wendy's where Ahmad,
a white woman started.
She was dating the guy that died though.
Yeah, but
so I think she was seriously upset about it.
Yeah.
Now
she's still a white woman.
That's true. Now, but what I'm saying is, when I say that is, I'm meaning that there are some legitimate angry whites out here who fool with black people.
Yeah.
Right.
Tough.
They might be ready to go out here and tear something up too. But there are some infiltrators, because you got a lot of white militias out here that don't like black people, and they've been sent in to start some stuff.
If you
What
look
about the white guy with the machete? And he said, two black guys beat me up.
And then they had him on film. He got out of his car and he had this machete, and he was threatening people. No, it was bow and arrow.
Yeah, the bow and arrow.
He was threatening people with a bow and arrow, and everybody that whooped his behind was white.
Man.
And then when he got on the media, he said it was 2 black dudes that whooped him, and then they showed the video, and it wasn't no white people.
I seen the machete one though.
Oh, I didn't see was a machete one too?
It was a white dude came out with a machete, and he started chasing protesters with the machete, trying to slice them. Counter turn, and then went back to him. He was folded up like a pretzel. I'm talking about one fold.
Oh yeah. I think he died. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, he died. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, he died. It wasn't a machete, it was a samurai sword.
They broke him up bad.
They say he was trying to protect his building, but I never heard nothing else about it. I don't think that he owned that building.
Man, they broke him up. I'm talking about when it went back to him.
Yeah, he was twisted up.
Twisted up ways.
They stomped him out. They stomped him out.
Man, they messed dude up.
So if you look at like those 2 instances, there's Starbucks that got looted real bad. The video shows it's like a group of like 5 white people, and all the black protesters that were doing it right in front of the protesters, and all of them was like, "Stop! No, that ain't what we out here for. Like we out here peacefully protesting. Right. Stop." It's like several different buildings that you see that white people are inciting this violence, or
but they're doing it for a reason.
Violence. Yeah, they're doing it for a reason.
Yeah. They sent out
in Nashville.
Sent out
in front of the courthouse on Broadway, the day of the protest. Random bricks were in front of all the buildings.
Right.
Stacked.
And no damn construction going on. Right. Yeah. The only construction is on 5th Avenue.
Right.
In front of the businesses, they got stacks of bricks in front of these different places.
Right.
I don't like to deal with conspiracy theories, but I seriously believe that this administration is the Confederacy's last stance to stop what they think is a lessening of white power in this country. And I think they really did want something to happen, but I think they didn't expect for so many whites to show up with us. They can't see if minorities would have been out there protesting by themselves, they would probably been sent in the National Guard. But when you looked in Nashville alone, that's just one city, you had thousands of whites walking with blacks. They can't send in them voters. They can't just send in the National Guard and bust all them people head. So I think that's what is holding a lot of this back. The same racist system that we fighting against, that's catering to whites are holding off. It's crazy because whites are holding off what I feel would be a mass beating and slaughter of a lot of black protesters.
It's no doubt. I believe that if it was just all blacks that's doing the protesting, the National Guard, all them people would have been in through there.
Yeah.
Like a fan. But see now, it's mixed.
Right.
It's like you say, the millenniums. It's mixed. It's mixed people who are standing up for the same cause.
That's right.
That's why in Washington, they're trying their best to fan the flames for race war.
Right.
And it's not taking hold.
Right.
They're sending out their subjects to do things, and it's like you said, or whoever said that the dude stopped said, man, that's not what we about.
Right.
We not tearing up stuff. That's not what we doing. And see, that's frustrating them. That because it's not falling off like
they had planned. Right.
Like they planned.
And I'm gonna tell you what else is key. As police officer, and then my mother was in the military, my daughter in the military. You don't come out without name tags. They had brought in a lot of white men with shields and batons.
With no name tags.
No name tags, no patches. And my take on that was, they can't trust the Army and they can't trust the regular police because there's too many blacks integrated into that.
Right.
And they don't know if they're gonna say, man, hold up, I'm not shooting my guns at them people. Them my people.
Right.
So they done brought in all of these people. We don't know who these people are. They could be white racist militia.
Right.
They could be people that they handpicked out of the police departments all across the country.
Right.
They say these men were coming from all over the place and they didn't have no identification at all. And they lined up all in Washington ready to get the word from Donald Trump to crack down on protesters. But like I said, what held it off was so many whites was involved in this.
Now,
Didn't nothing happen.
you asked about the 60 protests and this protest.
Right.
What's the difference?
The big difference is the amount of white people.
Yes.
Because you used to have a field of afros and one or two whites mixed in with them.
Right.
Yes.
Now, see, Donald Trump is at that age where he remembers that, and he thought that that was gonna be what it was. It didn't turn out like that.
It sure did.
I think they did create a race, not a race war.
A conscious war, really, because it just woke folks up.
A lot of race consciousness. It wasn't to the effect. It wasn't big enough that as big as they thought. Because there is now, this has created a lot of, like, for instance, I've been around white people my whole life, and I've had to delete a lot of them.
Me too. It exposed a lot of people.
That, like, you know, in our school systems, just, you know, people that,
Yeah.
some people just call me son, like, you know, just people I played baseball with, just different things, and so it has to an extent, not to the extent that they wanted to.
Right.
Right.
A lot of them that came out for nothing. A lot of them came out the closet for nothing.
There you go. So
Right.
It has created that race, like you said, not war.
A lot of minorities done got exposed too.
A lot. Yeah, it's both sides.
That's
Yeah,
right.
It's both sides. But not to the extent, like you said, to where it's black and white.
Right.
Not
Right.
to where it's white versus color.
It's hard to do black and white because
I think you.
it's hard to do black and white because you have white as a family. You have somebody white in your family. How can you turn against your family? That's your blood.
Well, they weren't thinking about that.
That's what I'm saying. What's going on right now? What's going on right now? Every typical family has somebody black.
Or somebody dating somebody white, or
We too much interracial now. Now, if you notice on every commercial, first it was just all white commercials.
Yeah.
Every commercial we got a black man, a white woman, a black black woman. They got them mixed together as family. So it's kind of hard to do that.
You're definitely right, and I think that has caused what you just described.
A consciousness.
Well, definitely consciousness, but that's caused the violence to decrease.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So you've had originally, you had a lot of people not following Martin Luther King. People were going after Malcolm X.
Right.
Right.
People were saying, "No, okay, enough of this. We're gonna make our voices heard."
Right.
Doing more to millennials though.
So
the real killers ain't really hit the streets yet.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But for the millennials at least.
Yeah.
So, but you do see those small changes. Now, they're probably temporary, whatever it be it, but you're starting to see a little change.
I give you a prime example. Look at all the Confederate statues and the
That's coming down.
Who in the hell would have ever thought that NASCAR would have banned the rebel flag
Right.
at their races?
In every game.
Right.
Who?
Not just that, they marching everywhere in foreign countries.
And
Yeah.
I mean, who would have thought?
Well, I will say this though, the bigotry in this country is bad, but if something did break off in this country, they would still lose again, like the Civil War, because even with the few minorities that ride with them, they would lose, because when I looked at that crowd of just Nashville alone, it was thousands out there that walked from the Jefferson Bridge all the way downtown. And then I took a look at the 60s. It was hundreds of blacks with maybe somebody like Bernie Sanders mixed in with them, or you know, one or two whites mixed in with them. It was thousands of mixed people.
I want to say this too.
Did you see that?
And
Maryland, Trenton.
you have to think about this.
10,000 people for those. Man.
Back in the '60s, we as people were caged and fenced in. From the '60s to now, you have people who have been trained in the military.
That's right.
Who've been trained in the police departments. Who have, it's a whole different mind thought.
Right mindset.
Mindset. I don't believe these people here are gonna sit back and let, like it did in the '60s,
right,
where they shot people, whooped people, set dogs on them.
Right.
These people ain't going for that.
Right. That's
they
right.
would rather for you to kill them, and they fight their way.
That's right.
And for you to do them back in the '60s, I respected the black people to the utmost. They had dogs put on them. They got beat for just being there. We not like that.
Right. And that's why I say the real killers ain't. That's why I say the real killers ain't hit the streets yet. Most of the people that did that stuff out there were millennials and younger crowd. They have taken the reins and they saying we'll tear this place up before we let it go back. But there are black people out here that's gonna get out here with that guerrilla warfare, and you got some whites with that Confederate flag tattooed on them that's gonna get out here and kill people. They ain't hit the streets yet.
Yeah. One reason why also it was different back then as well is because there was organized leadership of the movement. Right. You had Martin Luther King, you had Malcolm X, even though they had different ways of getting to the same point, you had organized people that had a vision and a way of doing things for the movement.
Everything was organized. Even the vice lords and the GDs was protecting our community back in the day. They ain't doing none of that.
They all locked up though.
But it's like what Dee
That's another
thing. Said, we all got settled. And we stopped the fight because we won that little piece at that time and we got settled. And the people back then, they taught their children, but their children did continue on with that fight.
I had a friend, one of my friends, she was white. She said, Sam, I was brought up to be racist. She said, but I'm not like that anymore. My daughter married a black man and I got 2 mixed kids, beautiful kids I love. And I won't let nothing happen to them. That's what's going on right now. How could you hate or hurt something that somebody else say hate and hurt, but that's your family? You think that woman gonna let somebody hurt her grandkids?
In the restaurant business, I done came across a lot of white dudes who said the same thing. I was raised this way. You know, you the first black that I can actually sit and talk to, and I done had dialogues with these folks where now we go out and kick it. You know what I'm saying? You can see them at the rally posting and Black Lives Matter, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm invited to the birthday parties of his kids and stuff like that. Like, they was raised that, but once they got around some good people with good upbringing and taught them this is not what blacks is about. This is what blacks is. You know what I'm saying? And they started falling in with us.
In Chicago on Cicero, Illinois, it's the valley. We as black people, we couldn't even cross over to Cicero, Illinois. Do it if you want to. But when I came to Nashville,
I saw whites and blacks come together as one. And I'm like, whoa. You see that here. It's a unity with blacks and white. And so I think that's the difference and why a lot of stuff is moving towards blacks having some kind of understanding that we're human. We belong here and we're gonna be here, so you have to get used to this.
That's right.
And I really believe that's the change.
I'm end it on that note. I hope I don't get flagged, but I'm about 30 minutes over my time. But I want to thank my family, from my aunties, my uncle, all my cousins, my sisters, and I want to thank everybody for attending this. This is going to be an ongoing thing. We might do this once every month, once every 2 months. This is going to be family talks where we get together and discuss hot topics that's going on in the community. Because like I said, these are black voters, you know. So I hope that you out there in the community, if you're a minority, go get your voter registration card. Go sign up to vote, because it's very important, people.
And don't just vote for the president. Vote for your congressmen, your senators, your aldermen. Go out and vote outside of November.
That's right. That's right. All right, people. Peace.
The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read.
Business.